In this video, let's explore clearly about what is Suez Canal and its construction history, its physical features, and its economy status. In this busy schedule world, everything been easier due to modern technologies, as that world trade got an immediate and dramatic effect due to the Suez Canal. This being one of the backbone for the world economy sector, it allowed the world to be circled in recorded time. In this video, let's explore clearly about Suez Canal and its history. Suez Canal is an artificial sea-level waterway in Egypt, connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea through the Isthmus of Suez and dividing Africa and Asia. It provides the shortest maritime route between Europe and lands laying around the Indian and Western Pacific Oceans. It is one of the world's most heavily used shipping lanes. The canal opened 17th November 1869. The canal extends from northern terminus of Port Said to southern terminus of Port Tuic at the city of Suez. Prior to its construction, ships headed towards Asia had to embark on an arduous journey around the Cape of Good Hope at the southern tip of Africa. The canal is heavily used and heavily protected. Construction began 25 September 1859. In 1830, General Francis Chesney submitted a report to the British government that stated there was no difference in elevation, and that the Suez Canal was feasible, but his report received no attention. Lieutenant Waghorn established his overland route, which transported post and passengers to India, via Egypt. Linant de Bellefonds, a French explorer of Egypt, became the chief engineer of Egypt's public works. In 1854, Ferdinand de Lesseps, the former French consul to Cairo, secured an agreement with the Ottoman governor of Egypt to build a canal 100 miles across the Isthmus of Suez. An international team of engineers drew up a construction plan, and in 1856, the Suez Canal Company was formed and granted the right to operate the canal for 99 years after completion of the work, and the first digging was done by hand with picks and shovels, wielded by forced laborers. Later, European workers with dredgers and steam shovels arrived. Labor disputes and a cholera epidemic showed construction, and the Suez Canal was not completed until 1869, 4 years behind schedule. On November 17, 1869, the Suez Canal was opened to navigation. Ferdinand de Lesseps would later attempt unsuccessfully to build a canal across the Isthmus of Panama. When it opened, the Suez Canal was only 25 feet deep, 72 feet wide at the bottom, and 200 to 300 feet wide at the surface. Consequently, fewer than 500 ships navigated it in its first full year of operation. Major improvements began in 1876. However, the canal soon grew into one of the world's most heavily traveled shipping lanes. In 1875, Great Britain became the largest shareholder in the Suez Canal Company when it bought up the stock of the new Ottoman governor of Egypt. 7 years later, in 1882, Britain invaded Egypt, beginning a long occupation of the country. The Suez Canal is an open cut, without locks, and though extensive straight lengths occur, there are 8 major bends. To the west of the canal is the low-lying delta of the Nile River, and to the east is the higher, rugged, and arid Sinai Peninsula. As ultimately constructed, it was a 105-mile lockless waterway connecting the Mediterranean and the Red Sea. From its northern terminal at Port Said, the canal passes through the salt marsh area of Lake Manzala, with the freshwater canal running parallel. The canal allows passage of ships up to 20 meters, 66 featuring draft, or 240,000 deadweight tons, and up to a height of 68 meters, 223 featuring above water level, and a maximum beam of 77.5 meters, 254 featuring under certain conditions, 126, 122. The canal can handle more traffic and larger ships than the Panama Canal, as Suezmax dimensions are greater than both Panamax and New Panamax. Some supertankers are too large to traverse the canal. Others can offload part of their cargo onto a canal-owned ship to reduce their draft, transit, and reload at the other end of the canal. The Isthmus of Suez, the sole land bridge between the continents of Africa and Asia, is relatively recent geologic origin. Both continents once formed a single large continental mass, but during the Paleogene and Neogene periods, about 66 to 2.6 million years ago, the great fold structures of the Red Sea and Gulf of Aqaba developed, with the opening and subsequent drowning of the Red Sea trough as far as the Gulf of Suez and the Gulf of Aqaba. In the succeeding Quaternary period, about the past 2.6 million years, there was considerable oscillation of sea level, leading finally to the emergence of a low-lying isthmus that broadened northward to a low-lying open coastal plain. There, the Nile Delta once extended farther east, as a result of periods of abundant rainfall, coincident with the Pleistocene epoch, 2,588,000 to 11,700 years ago, and two river arms, or distributaries, formerly crossed the northern isthmus, one branch reaching the Mediterranean Sea, at the narrowest point of the isthmus, and the other entering the sea some 14.5 kilometers, 9 miles, east of present Port Said. The Suez Canal accounts for 30% of the world's daily shipping container freight. That makes it the most important conduit for trade between Europe and Asia. Some 19,000 vessels passed through the canal last year, according to official figures. The Suez Canal has been considered, since its establishment in 1869, as the most important artery and waterway for world trade, between East and West. It is the most important waterway for moving petroleum between the production sources and consumption markets. Thus, it has a great impact on states' economies. In addition, it is considered as a path and gateway for the military convoys heading from the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. The Suez Canal's strategic significance has led to increasing conflict among the great powers over the Middle East's influence. Abdo Mobashir, 2005, with Egypt's growing readiness to implement policy. The country has witnessed the implementation of some great national projects, the most important of which is the new Suez Canal project, the development of the current Suez Canal and the area alongside the canal. We must take into account the close relation between the new project and Egypt's national security and its military and economic dichotomies. The new project aims to transfer the area into a world center for logistics and industry and a world trade service that acts as a major axis for economic development in Egypt. The location's advantages and characteristics, in particular, make it suitable to being a world center for industrial economic zones, distribution of transit trade, and logistic services for ships and trade transiting the Suez Canal. Egypt is facing several domestic, regional and world challenges that hinder it from reaping the benefits from its relative and competitive privileges, particularly its strategic geographic position. The nature of traffic has greatly altered, especially because of the enormous growth in shipments of crude oil and petroleum products from the Persian Gulf since 1950. In 1913, the oil in northbound traffic amounted to 295,700 metric tons, 291,000 long tons, whereas in 1966 it amounted to 168,700,000 metric tons, 166 million long tons. The closure of the canal from 1967 to 1975 led to the use of large oil tankers on the route around the Cape of Good Hope and prompted the development of the Sum pipeline from Suez to Alexandria, which opened in 1977. Since 1975, the increased size of tankers, the largest of which cannot use the canal, and the development of sources of crude oil in areas outside of the canal route, for example, Algeria, Libya, Nigeria, the North Sea, and Mexico, have reduced the canal's importance in the international oil trade.